As you can see, this bike's coming with panniers. Luckily they're not in too bad a shape, but what we're going to do is we've removed the panel that sweeps around this. We're going to be repainting that. Now the first thing we're going to do is, after removing the panel, is sand down the panel. So we started on sanding this panel down. As you can see, we're trying to get it down to a matte finish. Anything that's shiny like this will have to be rubbed off, and any repairs like this will have to be looked at. So what we're going to do is going to put a stopper, which is if I can find it, there we go, got some stopper there, and we're going to be putting that into the slight grooves and cuts and gouges in the plastic in an effort to make it nice and smooth, so that when we apply primer and top coat you won't be able to see it with a nice smooth finish. Now what we're using on this is 180 grade, and this will allow us to smooth out any rough bits, and also it will give it a good key for that coat of paint. I'm going to use some primer on it first to give it a nice base. And as I said earlier, you've just got to get rid of all the shiny bits. So the section around the handle is a little bit fiddly, as you can see. I'm just trying to rub this out and get rid of all the shiny pieces on it. Anything that's not shiny, potentially the paint will not stick. So we try and get it dull everywhere. You don't want any paint flaking off afterwards. It's not too difficult, just a bit time consuming. So following on from yesterday's stopper filling, just going to knock this down. I'm going to use some 80. The 80 grit will take down the stopper quite easily. Hopefully it will just leave the bits that really needed to be filled. So if you've got something like a DA or a sander, you could use a sander to do this. Just got to be careful you don't overheat it, because the plastic will melt. So you can see in this area here we've got little scratches in the plastic. They're now being filled up. Just going to remove the rest, and then once we've got all this off, we should just be left with lines of stopper where the grooves used to be. So we brushed off the excess stopper using the 80. This takes it down quite easily. We then moved on to the 180, and this reduces the amount of scratching in the area, but as you can hear, it's still quite rough. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase the paper, and we're going to try some 600 and maybe some 1000 to get it even smoother. The smoother it is, the better the finish. So we've now moved on to using our paper in wet. I've now moved on to a circular motion when rubbing down. You can probably hear the slight difference in noise and texture as you're polishing with it wet. And the quieter it gets, the smoother it's getting. Also, using it wet means you can see any scratches that may be still in there that you couldn't see before. So we've now got a wet panel. Going to dry that off a little bit, just to give you a little idea of what it looks like now. There we go. So we're getting a finish that we're liking, that one. So I'm just going to continue with this. So we've got the panels sanded down and we've gone down to 1200 paper. Just going to let it dry off, and once dry off we're going to use a bit of panel wipe to clean it all off and make sure it's okay. Then we're going to put it into an area where we're going to spray our first coat of primer on it. You can use plastic based primers. These are especially good because obviously you might have some twisting in the panel and it allows the panel to flex without the paint breaking. Now going back to our sandpaper, this is the first coat of paint on. It's a white primer. It should be matte when it's dry. I do it in 2 coats, a light coat for a start, which we put on this one, and then a second coat on this one to cover it completely. So that's what we're looking for with the primer. So that's our second coat on. I can still see some marks in the panel, so these will need some more remedial work with the stopper. The other panel looks quite decent. Can't see any real problems with that one. We might be okay with one, but the other one needs work. So we've now started to apply our metallic silver to finish off the panel. The white's been left for approximately 5 hours, lightly sanded with some wet and dry, and now ready for a little bit of top coat. Obviously shake up your can quite thoroughly as you go, and then we get a nice flowing coat going on. Going to do a light coat first, this way not likely to run. Done all the edges already, but that don't look too bad. It's a nice bit of shine coming on. Just see a little bit of my reflection in there. So that's our panel, our first panel done. So we're ready for our second coat. We've given it about 35 minutes to dry off, so it's flashed off, so it is dry, it's not tacky. And again, what we're going to do is just go over the panel again, another light coat. This will enable it to build up slowly and get a better quality of colour at the end. And with it being metallic, we will get dark and light spots, but the more we put on, hopefully, the better it will look at the end. And with a base coat like this, we will have to put lacquer on to maintain that coverage and shine. So if we leave that a couple of hours now and then see what it's like, and then possibly leaving it overnight to ensure that it's fully cured. So here we have the panel off the bike. This is the one that came off the Honda. You can probably see there's a little bit more of a shine on that one. That's because we've got lacquer on that one. Colour match, I would say it's perfect, but ours is still got that matte finish on it. And like I said, once we've had a few coats of lacquer on top of the paint, we should have it looking like the original part. So this is the finished pannier with the painted insert. As you can see from this section here, we've got a very close match on the colours. Paint code is exactly the same, and as you can see there, we've got a nice bit of shine on the pannier covers. Both sides are the same. Just wondering whether to do the insert on the top box now. That looks a little bit plain now, but that's what you can do with a bit of time and experience.